Alrighty, so apparently Greg Locke says he's getting sued? That's an interesting bit of information. Let's go ahead and see how far his persecution complex goes. But before that, let's get into the fan art section. This one is from Sylvia Silica, and it is the second part of the post saying I was trying to make something cool, but my brain said, no, do this. It's nothing too bad, right? And no, it's not too bad. But I do appreciate the fishnets on the thighs, though. That is a good addition there. Next one we have here is from Mart. Found an old sketch of slime Suris taking control. Oh my god, it's like a parasect. The last one we have here is from Fine Point. Sometimes Suris gives me Kermit vibes. Sometimes Suris gives me Kermit vibes. Yay! Oh my god. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so, as it does help the channel out a crap ton. Also, consider checking out sponsor of the channel right now, Every Plate. There is a link to them in the description. You can use coupon code POGNECOSURIS, and they are going to be with us for probably about a month or so. Axolotls with Cream, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. That said, so let's take a listen to what Greg Locke has to say. I want to know his perspective on getting sued.
My spirit messed up. We will still meet in a tent, even though I got a 40-page court summons today suing me and Global Vision.
So you got a 40-page court summons for he's getting sued. Okay.
For these tent services in this community. 40 pages. Now, how they got the crazy lawyer to write some of this stuff up, that I'm a COVID denier,
which he is. How are you confused about that one, Greg? You literally have denied COVID multiple times in your sermons.
That I told people they couldn't wear masks at our church.
You did that. There's video evidence of you doing that. Of you literally saying that people aren't allowed to wear masks in your congregation. You did that. Dish Itfia says you're a woman. No, I'm not. But if you use the exclamation mark pronoun command, you can figure that out pretty easily. But yeah, Greg, those are things you did. In fact, actually, I'm pretty sure each of those pronouns, each of those I've done videos on at one point. Pretty certain. But, okay.
That I was an insurrectionist preaching on the Capitol steps on January 6th. Actually, I was preaching on a trailer about 15 feet from the steps. But
distinction without a difference. On the Capitol steps is not the thing that makes the things you do in there potentially illegal. What makes it potentially illegal is being part and parcel to the insurrection, Greg. That's the part that matters.
I mean, it's a huge list. And then all of the times, 3 of them, you can make this 4, where our neighbor has watched the videos and listed all the sermons where I called him out when he was doing the rock beating and all that kind of stuff. So this is the fourth time I'm mentioning Larry. Okay, so he's suing the church, and if he can't get money out of the church, he's suing me personally because I'm the leader of the church.
I like how he puts that in exclamation marks when we know that that's just the case. Like, Greg, it's your church. It's your congregation. Own it. Stoff, thank you very much for the hydrate. Commit wet. You know, that's kind of weird to me, Greg. I don't see why you would use the exclamation, or not the exclamation points, the, the finger marks when we know that this is your congregation. It even says it on your website.
And it is an unbelievably ridiculous lawsuit. They want an immediate restraining order to shut down the tent, close off the church property, and I'm like, you better get some tanks and you better get some Cobra helicopters if you think we're that stupid.
So, if you are given the legal order to vacate that premises and stop doing your tent services, after being given the legal order to do so, you would want them to bring tanks and helicopters. First of all, that's a giant persecution complex bit. Christians like Greg Locke love the idea that the government might one day come for them. It justifies all of the violent insurrectionist-type fantasies that they have, because it lets them have their God appointed me as the one bulwark against the world. It lets them do that. Also, Siren Song, thank you for the follow. It lets them have that narrative. It lets them have that feeling that they are the perpetual victims. And since they are the perpetual victims in their story, then it justifies anything they would do, anything that they would choose to do. Because if you're always the victim, then anything you do is self-defense, naturally. This is the type of stuff that Greg uses to justify how he operates with his congregation. Because if they are always oppressed, if they are always the victim, if they are always on the lower part of the hill fighting an uphill battle, then it doesn't matter what he says at any point. He gets to justify it by him being the little guy. He wants to endanger his congregation with helicopters and with tanks, because by endangering his congregation, he gets to make good on his word that his flock is persecuted, even though it's just him putting them in the line of fire like an idiot.
Immediate restraining order to shut down the church. Trying to sue us for a sound ordinance that don't even exist. So Sunday, I'm going to read.
Are you sure it doesn't exist? I'm curious there. There's a lot of sound ordinances that exist in various locations. I don't know where Greg Locke's church is specifically, and I don't know if there's a sound ordinance there. So I'm not going to speak out of my ass and say that you most certainly are violating it. I don't know. I guess that's the difference between me and Greg. When I don't know something, I try not to say I do.
Read you the list of allegations just for accountability's sake. And I think it will be interesting for the world that says, well, churches ain't under persecution, to hear how...
And there it is. And there it is. Yeah, sorry, Greg, by and large, churches aren't under persecution. You commit a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you know that services are denied in indoor areas, you still pat people together tightly in your outdoor area as a way to kind of slip by the rules. You know that noise ordinances are a thing, which are usually controlled by, the stone walls around a church, but you're not in the stone walls around a church, so you guys get to be as loud as you want and disrupt everybody around you. And when you get to do that, you are constantly inviting people to come and fuck with you. If you weren't persecuted before, you certainly get to create the narrative that you are now. And it's a really... I don't want to just use filler words like it's dumb and it's cringe and any of that stuff. No, I want to get to the heart of this. The fact of the matter is, Greg, it's not that you're persecuted. It's that you create the scenario as a self-fulfilling prophecy in which others will be against you. You choose that, and then you get to go, look, I was right. I am persecuted all along. No, you're just being an asshole in public. And as a result of being an asshole in public, because you are doing that, then you're going to get the things that seem like persecution. Because you're inviting them in, and then you're using them as the reasons why it's totally okay for you to be the shit stain that you are.
How ridiculous some of these allegations are against the church, and specifically against me. Stinking-leavable. We're being sued because we don't have a medical license to practice healing and exorcisms.
Yeah, that's a perfectly valid suit. Because when you use pseudoscience and pretend to heal people, you prevent them from seeking active treatment. Because let me give you a scenario. If somebody has an aching back, and it's something that could be fixed because they've got a degenerative disc, they need medication or something, and then the faith healer comes and goes, I will heal you. I will use God's holy power. I will fill you up with God's righteousness. And when I fill you up with the Holy Ghost, you will be cured. You will be leaking from all spiritual cavities with the power of God. And then, when he puts his hands on or in you, and you feel that wave of euphoria, that placebo, and then you leave the church and the pain starts coming back, you have to ask yourself, why does my back hurt? Well, it's not because the preacher blew my back out. No, that had nothing to do with it. But ignoring the fact that that was a part that happened, your back hurts because it hurt before. Because all that happened is a person put their hand on you and said it would get better. But now you've got this dilemma of faith. If you complain about your back hurting again, then it's because your faith wasn't strong enough. God could have cured you if only you had more faith, but you don't want to do that because that would put your position in the church in jeopardy, and that would put your position in the line towards heaven or hell that you think you're going to in jeopardy. So you don't say anything. And then other people around you see that you're not saying anything, and they too want to be touched by the preacher, and then they all start having backaches that they did or did not have before because, again, apparently the Holy Ghost is, apparently he's girthy. Fact of the matter is, you've created the scenario, again, where even if somebody was not properly healed, which they won't be because faith healing is bullshit, but if they're not properly healed, they will come out not wanting to say that they've not been properly healed, because it puts everything in their life and faith at risk if they do. Paladin Lost, thank you for resubscribing. Good to see you, sirs. Good to see you as well. I do think that somebody who tries to do faith healing, and this is a strong stance of mine, but I think that if somebody tries to practice faith healing, I think that they actually should get medical malpractice for that, personally. I think that practicing of pseudoscientific bullcrap that does not help people and, in fact, prevents them from seeking out help, because, again, seeking out the help would be an admission that God didn't cure you, and now we have to have a conversation about the limits of God's power, but God's not supposed to be limited in his power. I feel like the world you find yourself in there is so self-defeating, and it's so dangerous because when people don't seek out the proper medical help for the things that ail them, they only get worse. And here in America, the only reason people should not be seeking medical help for things that ail them is because they're too poor to. Because we are America and we don't view healthcare as a human right for some stupid reason. So yes, I'm actually perfectly okay with people who do faith healing getting hit for medical malpractice, because in my mind, it is medical malpractice. It is in the medical category, and it is actively preventing actual care that could be happening to help someone, which is a form of malpractice as far as I'm concerned. But what do I know? Maybe I'm just one guy that wants fewer people hurt and more people feeling better about the world and themselves.
Unbe-stinking-leavable. So I don't want to get sideways with that, but I'm gonna read you some of the stuff on Sunday when everybody's here and everybody's settled in. So all that to say...
Nothing! Because that's the end of the video. All that to say, apparently Greg Locke's getting sued. I don't know if it's a thing that's actually going to happen. I don't know if it's a thing that's going to go through or get thrown out in court. I'm not 100% certain. But everything that he listed is a thing that he has done and he does do. And yeah, Soccer, it does sound a little bit like he was plugging, so I guess we should probably say that if you're hungry, you should maybe go follow sponsor of the channel, EveryPlate. Go check out the link in the description. Instead of listening to Greg Locke, use coupon code POGNECOSURIS. Maybe do that instead of listening to pseudoscientific bullcrap being handed to you by a woo practitioner and a wannabe preacher. Maybe you should do that. A nice snack from every plate, which you can find as a link in the description below, is probably going to do you a whole hell of a lot more good than listening to his preaching. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely incorrect in what I'm saying, but I don't think I am. I think food is better than Greg Locke, personally. But I guess give your opinions in the comment section below. Food or Greg Locke? Food or Greg? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'd love to hear your reasons why. And if you do end up getting every plate, tell me what you end up ordering from them. The barbecue hoisin chicken's actually been really good. But anyways, yeah, food or Greg Locke? Have fun with that one. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.